All right, so today we're going to talk about a super common but really powerful thinking mistake. It's one that trips up even the smartest people out there. It's kind of like this mental glitch that makes us throw out perfectly good ideas, but for all the wrong reasons. So yeah, let's dive right in.
Okay, just picture this for a second. Your friend comes up to you all excited and says, "You have to see this new movie. It's the most expensive film ever made." I mean, that's not a great reason, right? So does their terrible argument automatically mean the movie itself is bad? If your gut reaction is, yep, probably, well, you've just fallen headfirst into the very trap we're going to be breaking down today.
You know that little scenario? It actually shows us a kind of default setting in our brains. What happens is, the moment we spot a flaw in how someone's arguing, our brain just loves to take this dangerous little shortcut, and we end up dismissing their entire conclusion without even thinking twice about it.
So this is where we really have to pull two things apart that we're always lumping together. So on one side, you've got the argument itself. Think of that as the how. It's the reasoning, the path they took to get there. And on the other side, you've got the conclusion. That's the what, the actual point they're trying to make. The big mistake we make is thinking that a problem with the how automatically means the what is garbage.
So this sneaky mental trap actually has a name. And okay, it's a bit of a mouthful, but trust me, it's one you're gonna want to remember. It's called the Fallacy Fallacy. Let's break down what that actually means.
Okay, so here's the absolute heart of it. The fallacy fallacy is that moment when you go, aha, your argument is terrible, which means your conclusion must be wrong. But here's the thing. A bad argument definitely fails to prove a conclusion, but that doesn't mean it automatically disproves it either. There's a huge difference.
Let's unpack that a little bit. So first off, you're making this incorrect leap from bad reasoning straight to false claim. Second, you're totally conflating the quality of the argument with the truth of the conclusion. And third, and this is a big one, you're completely forgetting that someone can be right for all the wrong reasons. A true statement can absolutely 100% be supported by a completely garbage argument.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. Okay, this just sounds like some nerdy logic puzzle. But no, this mistake has massive, serious real-world consequences. Let's actually look at a few high-stakes situations where this thing plays out all the time.
Okay, first up, let's put ourselves in a courtroom. I mean, the stakes literally could not be higher, right? Someone's freedom is on the line.
Now imagine the defense lawyer gets up and just makes this really flimsy, maybe even super emotional argument. You can tell they don't have strong evidence, so their reasoning is just full of holes. If you're on the jury, you'd spot it a mile away.
And this is exactly where the fallacy kicks in. The jury starts thinking, wow, what a terrible defense. That means the client has to be guilty. See what happened? They've just dismissed the entire possibility of innocence, not based on evidence, but simply because the argument for it was weak. They completely forget that an innocent person can, have a really bad lawyer.
All right, let's switch gears. Let's leave the courtroom and head into the world of science and research, where new ideas are always on the table.
So, picture this. You've got this brilliant scientist, but they are just not a great public speaker. They get up to present a totally groundbreaking new theory, but their data is still kind of preliminary, and honestly, their presentation is just a mess. The argument they make is, well, it's weak.
What do you think happens? Their colleagues immediately jump all over the flaws in the presentation and conclude, well, the entire theory must be wrong. I mean, this is a perfect example of how the fallacy fallacy can literally shut down progress. A potentially valid, maybe even revolutionary theory gets tossed in the trash, not because of conflicting evidence, but just because it had a bad sales pitch.
And for our last example, let's look at an arena where, let's be honest, we see this play out every single day, a political debate.
So you've got a politician up on stage, arguing for, say, a new policy. But instead of using hard data and logic, they're leaning heavily on emotional appeals, maybe even attacking their opponent's character. I mean, it is a textbook case of a bad fallacious argument. So the opposition, and probably the media too, they just seize on this. They point and say, look at these terrible arguments. That proves the policy itself must be bad. They're actually using the fallacy fallacy as a weapon, right? They're getting everyone to reject the actual substance of the policy just because the person arguing for it had a really flawed style.
Okay, so we've seen just how dangerous this can be. But here's the good news. Once you can put a name to it, you can start to avoid it. So let's talk about how to build some better mental habits to sidestep this trap.
It really just boils down to a simple 3-step process. Step 1, you have to consciously, deliberately separate the conclusion from the argument being used to support it. Step 2, don't just stop there. Go look for more evidence. Ask yourself, is there another, maybe better, argument that leads to the same conclusion? And finally, step 3. Make this a habit. Just work on that critical thinking muscle so that you're always evaluating the claim itself on its own merits.
So, after going through all this, what's the one single thing you should remember the next time you hear a truly terrible argument?
This is it. This is the whole takeaway. A bad argument doesn't prove anything, except that it's a bad argument. That's it. It tells you nothing, absolutely nothing, about whether the final conclusion is true or false. It just tells you the person making it needs to brush up on their logic. The conclusion itself, that's still completely up for debate.
And that's why this is so important. You know, recognizing this fallacy isn't really about winning debates or being clever. It's about being more fair and more accurate in how we look at, well, everything. Ideas, policies, even other people. It forces us to do the real hard work of checking out the claim itself.
So I'm going to leave you with a question to think about. The next time you hear someone make a point using really flimsy logic, what's your gut reaction going to be? Are you going to pounce on their bad reasoning just to win the argument? Or are you going to see it as a trigger to just pause, separate the argument from the claim, and actually go investigate the claim for yourself? Honestly, that choice makes all the difference in the world.